Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who kept us going for well over 350 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogamesPodcast. Dude of the week is MD Rennie, or Dr. Rennie.
Thank you, MD Rennie.
We're not sure, Rennie, if MD is because you're a medical doctor, which is cool as hell, rock on, or if it's short for something.
Now, I just want to know, do you sound like Hugh Laurie in House or Hugh Laurie in real life, if you are an MD?
Would be sort of sick if you sounded like Hugh Laurie in House, though. He has that
so
perfect
weird
mix
because
of like...
I did not know he was British, and then I saw an interview like way after the fact. I'm like, what the fuck is this voice? Who are you?
You know, I think the thing that today I learned fact about House that it sort of blew my mind when it came to that is like realizing that House is just a adaptation of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, 100%.
Never occurred to me. And then when someone said it, I was like, oh, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. But thank you, dude, so much. And also, we have a sponsor to thank. Of course, I'm talking about sweet ass Manscaped. See if you can see that on camera.
Sweet ass Manscaped. I mean, they can help you get a sweet ass with their products.
They can indeed. But our current favorite product, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what the lever release that'll beat this for me personally, is their beard trimmer, the Beard Hedger Pro. My favorite thing about this is its little like adjustable dial for the guard. You don't have to remove guards and switch guards to get
constantly.
You can remove it for like cleaning and stuff. It's real easy, but you don't have to while using it, and it'll go up by like half a size each time. Makes it really easy to, like, especially if you have a short beard, fade it into like your sideburns.
Right. You can really precision trim that fade.
For those of us that have extremely short hair, you know, for no reason at all, we just like to keep our hair very short. It's totally our decision. Nature has nothing to do with it, but it's very nice to have the Beard Hedger, which lets you get in there and get a fade that matches your beard to your head. Another cool thing about it is like you could totally use it in the shower. I don't know that I would use it under the water, but it is apparently good to go.
If you want to.
Yeah, if you want to risk that, you do that. They've got a bunch of products that we love, though. We love the Box 2.0. Of course, we love the lawnmower.
I'm wearing them right now.
I also am wearing them right now. Look, we're twinsies. Beautiful twinsies.
Which means we can't show it off, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could. We're just not that kind of show, guys. But we could be. We could be that kind of show for you.
We may have to move from Patreon to OnlyFans for that kind of kind of advertisement.
Finally live my dreams. Just all Burt Reynolds photos all the time. Anyway, if you're interested in checking out any of these products, please head over to manscaped.com. Use our code YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's code YoVG, all caps, at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Your balls will thank you.
That's right. Get yourself covered from crown to crotch.
Honestly, I'm not sure why they don't use that officially. Crown to crotch is genius.
Well, like, they've only recently been expanding into the head space, you know, or face space.
That's true, but they've been helping guys hopefully expand into the head space for a long time. Keep shit in order. It makes chances better. Anyway.
But also make your tree appear taller.
That's true. You know, I don't want to get too personal, but it is a nice side effect. But we got fun stuff to talk about. The unfun stuff is, you know, Sony, basically it came out that Sony's been paying third parties for a long time to specifically not be on Xbox, which sort of backhandedly makes them first party studios. I guess most famously would be like Square.
Yeah,
Squaresoft, you know.
Very much Square. I mean, money hiding's been a thing forever, but like Sony's apparently trying to go step further into like lock it away forever kind of thing.
Yeah, they're really they've stepped it up.
Or even going more targeted, where it's like, fine, you can do a PC version later, but don't you we'll pay you to just specifically not put it on Xbox.
Yeah, they're specifically trying to screw Xbox. And I guess I get that, but they're doing it pretty underhanded. I mean, they fought the whole Activision deal in every country they possibly could to try and stop it. It looks like that's going forward.
Yeah, as of the recording of this, it sounds like they're about to close it. Actually, $69 billion deal. That was according to the New York Post. I think New York Times, one of New York. I don't know, one of them New York places.
One of them crazy kids in New York.
One of them New York people's. But
over there on the least coast,
on the least
coast,
we
can't remember which one they are.
Right. Source is New York Post. Just for clarity's sake. But anyway, so yeah, now that we are getting into that point, it's interesting here. We kind of want to make it a little more fun because now all these Microsoft studios will finally be free, maybe, of the cold, bloodied hands of Bobby Kotick.
Maybe.
And maybe they'll escape the Call of Duty dungeon. Maybe. But that's what this episode's about. Because the thing is, if Philly Boy gets his Activision Blizzard deal done, first of all, Papa Nadella, whatever, at Microsoft, he's going to be happy just having King Entertainment under their belt. So mobile space is taken care of. Now Microsoft's a major mobile player. Great, whatever. That's what all the money heads and non-gaming people think. Great, cool. But what's the exciting part here now is that, like, okay, Phil, you have all these studios. It's time to make some changes because Bobby's been running this fucking, he's run it successful. I don't know how to say this. Successfully run it into the ground. Well, Blizzard and Activision still do very well, but they've shrunk their output so fucking drastically. They're basically a 2-company studio at this point.
They're pigeonholed.
Or 2-game studio, sorry.
They're pigeonholed. They are very successful. They make one thing, and it's looking like Call of Duty's burning all of its goodwill this time around. Granted, we say that every year, right? Every Call of Duty, we're always all like, "This is the last one. Fuck these guys." And then 2 years from now, we'll buy the next one. I don't know.
Warzone 2 is petering out hard and fast, though.
You know what? It's not doing great. But that being said, this is a situation where maybe, just maybe, at least half of these studios will get out of Call of Duty jail. Right.
So that being said, I say it's time we look at the studios that they have, and some of them are going to stay on Call of Duty forever. It's kind of their thing. But I mean, we could even, it's a what if episode, so we could even wish Call of Duty people into doing something that not Call of Duty if we really want to.
Well, I'm thinking it's a perfect opportunity to let Infinity Ward do what Infinity Ward did so well, 10 friggin' years ago. I mean, more than 10 years ago now, goddamn. But basically reinvent the shooter. Call of Duty 4 was a huge hit because it refreshed Call of Duty. It refreshed the shooter. Let them do it again. Tell them they can make a new IP or maybe a legacy IP, but they can sort of refresh it. Take all the things that you're looking at now that you're so tired of now in Call of Duty and just sort of like put something new out. I think that's sort of the exciting thing. If you're a developer, granted, we know for a fact from developers saying directly to our faces that working on the same thing every year is sort of great. They always know they have a job. They know exactly what they're doing. And specialization for some of the downsides has a lot of upsides.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, for whatever you're complaining or whatever the complaints are, it is still probably one of the best built shooters you can get today, period. Like, it's realistically, there's maybe a couple others that stand toe-to-toe with it on a technical basis. X-Defiant, people are all like, look, X-Defiant's the COD killer. All right, how many games has that been said about? But fair. X-Defiant, if you just from a technical perspective go toe-to-toe with Call of Duty, is fucking child's play. We know that's true. I'm not trying to like talk down about X-Defiant. It might actually be the thing I play next, but it's, on a technical level, just raw resources. It doesn't have the resources to go toe-to-toe with Call of Duty.
That's the thing, is just the money behind just Activision alone before this buyout is insane.
Right. Money and talent, just by having that money and those resources, they can keep the talent, sort of captivated. They have captive talent there. Well, now that Microsoft maybe doesn't care about pumping out a Call of Duty every year, although they probably do want to do that because it makes so much money.
This will not be a prediction episode because that's easy.
This is the wants and dreams. This is our hopes.
This is more of like, hey, what would be a good use of them? Because like you're right. You know, Microsoft probably would want to do a Call of Duty every year. Keep doing that. Why? Because they make billions of dollars. So. Yeah. And then they're spending a lot of money to buy this company, nearly $69 billion. It's a lot of money.
I wonder what their ROI, what their like planned ROI is on it.
Oh,
5 years.
Man. Well, I mean, King's going to carry a lot of that weight.
Right.
Diablo, Blizzard, Overwatch will carry a lot of it. Call of Duty is probably going to have to carry a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, it's still going to take like probably 10 years to
make that back.
Probably to really make that back, honestly. I have to imagine, which is why I actually think they're overpaying for Activision 100%.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't buy companies out unless you're overpaying. You don't get them on the cheap unless they're liquidating. Because Activision is in no way, shape, or form doing poorly whatsoever. Like Bobby just wants out because there's probably like a slew of lawsuits like nipping at his heels.
And they had to offer enough to make the shareholders want to sell. Right? I mean, they had to force that.
Yeah. It's that, and it's also that happened right in the midst of all like the big drama that was coming out about what was going on at the higher ups in the workplace, and it kind of just seemed like they were coming real close to a whole lot of like remember how we talked about on this podcast, like even the government intervention was starting to get in, like the Department of Labor and stuff was there was about to be Uncle Sam was about to start looking into their labor practices for like probably major illegal like things going on.
we live in a corptocracy. Corptocracy, I guess would be the word. But like the idea that the government tried to like get involved in that means things had to be real bad.
Yeah,
because like corporations basically run our government at all levels. Like there's no level of government here in the US that isn't infiltrated or controlled by corporate money in some fashion. For the government, even in California, which some states consider like a communist haven or something.
It really isn't.
It really fucking isn't. It's a very pro-business state. That's why it has a lot of business here. But California getting involved and going after, I guess not even really going after, but like shoving their head into Activision's business, pretty big deal. You have to have there has to be some real skeletons in the closet. Yeah. Because it has to, that politician, whoever, pushed for that, has to think like the blowback of Activision going against them next election will be less problematic for their career than
and here's the
whatever's about to come out.
And the other thing you might ask, well, doesn't Activision have great lawyers, can afford great lawyers? And yes, they can. So like, why would they be so quick to sell? And I'm gonna be like, because at the very, very top, the head of the fucking snake, Bobby himself, he's been there for 30 plus years. He's personally himself has made hundreds of millions of dollars off of this company. And then he's seeing like a whole fucking like another 5 to 10 years of being tied up in court cases. And he just said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to golden parachute my way out of this.
Right.
Because he's old. He's been around. He's made so much money. He's like, let me make another big cash. Let me make another couple billion on my way out. And then I don't even have to do anything. I wash my hands of the whole thing. And I'm like, he would absolutely screw over his closest friends and colleagues at Activision to take a golden parachute if he just looked at this and said, I don't want to deal with this, and then just bailed out. That's probably what's happening. The truth is probably very close. I'm going to imagine very close to that.
I imagine staring down the barrel of some bigger problems, and he was just like, why bother? I'm ready to retire.
Why bother? Oh, I'm afraid. Yeah. More than ready. But But yeah, well, so looking at this list of okay, what now these are Microsoft. These are about to be Microsoft Game Studios games. So now they can join the eternal now of Microsoft owning a studio and not releasing a game.
Yeah, do you want me to read
Sorry,
off
the endless
studios?
now, I should say. So Activision Shanghai, from what I understand, is mostly a workhorse studio. Beanox. Beanox is the first one. They have a lot of these places have like 2 studios or whatever somewhere. But Beanox is in Quebec. Oh, Canada. Anyways, they used to do a lot of licensed games, including a lot of Activision Spider-Man games and stuff like that.
And the B-movie game.
The B-movie
Cannot
game.
forget about the B-movie game.
So, obviously, they don't have an original IP to call their own, but they've definitely... I mean, they're in Call of Duty jail with everyone else. Everyone's in Call of Duty jail.
Have been since 2015, it looks like. They got moved into Call of Duty jail.
What franchise should Beanox tackle that Microsoft and keep on everything Microsoft owns? Let's take a franchise for each one of these and say, like, what franchise would you plug into a studio like Beanox?
Well, okay, so this is interesting because Beanox has done a bunch of ports of things like Tony. Actually, I can scroll down and look at them. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 for like they have, because they've done a bunch of ports, they sort of have a good spread of experience in a way where like I get, let me see, their last Skylanders was the game that they made last before they went to Call of Duty jail. Oh, they did Crash Team Racing in 2019. Look at them. And they did Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. So I guess like they're a good sort of sports game. We just talked about this, right? Like how indie games could go for that sport, but Microsoft could also go for that sports niche for Game Pass.
Yeah.
You know, granted, Microsoft's getting all of the IP too, right? Like,
yes.
Granted,
they're not getting like if they made a James Bond game, they don't get that. Obviously, you know what I mean,
right?
Like,
but like
they don't get the B movie or something like that.
Right. I wonder if that counts as like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I wonder if they'd get that.
They'd have to renegotiate with Tony Hawk himself, but he's not going to say no.
Yeah, I doubt he would say no. That would be hilarious.
He would. I mean, but yes, Tony Hawk would definitely fall in that umbrella.
So it's like you have an opportunity to, bring that back in a big way for a service like Game Pass or free to play.
I think Game Pass is a fucking fantastic avenue for an extreme sports title like Tony Hawk.
Oh, but I 100% agree. I think the other avenue for it is make it free to play on every like Xbox. Like you have an Xbox, you can get Tony Hawk no matter what, even without Game Pass. And it's a live services game where it's like, oh, you can buy, like you get 5 skaters and their boards, you can buy aesthetics and shit.
Yeah.
Or like in a year,
like
if they
the
release
free to play
a
version has Tony Hawk, but if you want any of the other named pro skaters, just not Bam.
Well, you can play as him, but there has to be sirens going the whole time.
God, we're topical. Oh my god.
But no, it's if you had a free to play version and a paid version, or a free to play version where you can buy a new skater for $5 or something like that.
And that's the thing is they could easily fucking Fortnite this. Could you imagine if they start just getting like, movie or cartoon or animated show characters as skaters in a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Fortnite style? They come out, people buy it. So it's like it's like just the thrill of seeing pick a random character on a skateboard doing sweet tricks or whatever.
Oh right. Yeah,
right. Like here's like again, like Thanos or whatever anime character you're into, whatever. Just think about that. Like, Vegeta doing a kickflip, stuff like that.
I think something that we had this, I guess as recently as Skate 3 or whatever. I think on 4. They're releasing Skate 4.
They're trying to make 4.
Yeah, they're trying to make 4 right now. But like that hangout that you had where you could basically hang out skating around a city or whatever, playing actual skate, that kind of stuff. Like Microsoft could bring that idea of like the chat lobby where everyone's playing the game and like you could unlock aesthetics from playing other games. Like I think it doesn't even have to be Tony Hawk's Pro. It could be any type of skateboard or any type of sports game. But I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater gives them an opportunity where like you can build that like that interconnected lobby type game.
I think you just hit something on the head that I don't know Microsoft hasn't thought of, and they really should have. Like you just said for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, imagine like, if you played other games, what if it incentivizes you to play other Game Pass games?
Right.
So like if you've played 3 hours, you unlock this board or this skater character. Like for a Microsoft first party character, like say Doomslayer. If you play 3 hours, an hour, whatever, if you play X amount of hours of Doom or Doom Eternal, you unlock Doomslayer and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Right. Yeah.
And
like
you didn't have to pay nothing for that. Well, if you had Game Pass, you pay something, but it's like incentivizing you to just play games on Game Pass. And you can even branch that out to third parties and say, hey, if you make a deal with us, like, hey, let us use your character, we'll put an incentive, we'll put him in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater as a playable character, if you to make a deal, right? So like the benefit for there is like now we're encouraging people to go play your third party game on Game Pass.
It is the upside of something we have sort of complained about in the past, where it's like creating an ecosystem. If you're doing it right, you get something like this, which can be very cool and kind of like be the center of the wheel, with everything else being the spokes going out to like your whole. It gives you a reason to own a fucking Xbox, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's the thing. A reason to own an Xbox, a reason to have Game Pass. Like,
and there's like an infinite number of ways to take a game like that and branch it out. Your fucking show. Oh, you are a Paramount Plus subscribers because you watch fucking Halo? Here's Master Chief on a fucking skateboard, or a piece of artwork that you can put on the bottom of your skateboard, or a shirt, or whatever the fuck. It instantly makes a way to like keep you within their ecosystem, for a lack of a better word. I sort of don't know why they don't do that. It's probably pretty complex. I'm not trying to like paint of it's
well,
so
the thing
easy.
you got to do is that you got to build a base, right? A really
right,
like where the character rig will be easily changeable, like what fucking Fortnite does, because everyone has a Fortnite look. Like when Aloy or Han Solo comes into Fortnite, they have a Fortnite version of their character. Now you do need good artists to make them not look hideous. You end up with like Guile in Fortnite, but for a lot of characters, it's like, oh, the Fortnite version of this character. So like, and what it is they have a very similar skeletal rig. They just kind of like they don't even have to modify the portions of the body much. It's mostly the face. So yeah, you just really got to just make sure the face looks good.
We didn't even talk about like the things they could do with first party game music. If you beat the game, you unlock this song for Tony Hawk's Pro.
Yeah. Or they could bring back the old Xbox thing of uploading your music onto the hard drive, and it will play that in. I mean,
they have a bunch of old school things that people loved about the 360 or the original Xbox that they could bring back in a modern way, and make a reason for people to own an Xbox.
Yeah,
like right now there's so little. I don't know. Their sales info just came out and they're like way down on hardware sales. There's so little reason to own an Xbox that one of their main focuses right now should be incentivizing in any ways possible for you to want to own one.
You're right, but I gotta say, as someone who, I got this as a gift, right? I just gotta say, this thing is so cheap and so easy to just throw around anywhere, and it's got enough juice. If you're wanting like the ultimate 8K, 4K, experience, obviously you get the mini fridge version, or you get a PS5, or you get a good PC or whatever. But this fucking thing is just like here.
It's a quick.
Here's
brick.
the box. Here's the box. Controller goes here. Power's right here. There's not much in the back, right? Like, internet, power, HDMI, whatever, and there's other stuff I don't even know what it does. Oh, more USBs, of course. The funny thing here on the back, this is storage. Like they're terabyte memory cards, which are going down in price. They're just they're just memory cards.
They just
like the
slot
size
in,
of a PlayStation 2 memory. Just stick it. You don't have to like unscrew it or take a faceplate off or anything. It's just like this fucking thing is like it's $300 normally, but it's constantly on sale. It's constantly on deals through like Verizon and other shit. Like, this is just and if you're into it, the emulation scene on this thing's fucking incredible.
So if you're listening and not watching the video, he's literally holding up the cheapest version of the Series. Yeah, the Series S.
It's small, it's compact, and it just here's Game Pass. Like it's a Game Pass box for me, but it can be an emulation box because the CPU in this thing works so well with RetroArch. You can emulate like 3/4 of video game history well just on this thing for $30.
Right, and if you don't have a PC and you just want to play it, Game Pass, which I still argue is very worth it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty easy way to get into it, that's for sure. It's the least painful in terms of price. I guess you could maybe get a PC in the $300 to $400 range that would play games okay, but I sort of doubt it.
There's like in a lot of people, especially our kind of listeners, and especially they're probably not big Xbox people. They probably never really didn't own a lot of Xbox product in their life. There's a lot to dig through in that system's library, especially on Game Pass and sales. Like there's a lot of really great stuff just kind of buried in there. Like Game Pass gives you we've extolled the versions of Game Pass, but really like I told people, I told someone recently who was like a dad who was like, hey, my kids are bugging me about something. I'm like, honestly, if you want, if he's worried about the price, like $500. I'm like, honestly, buddy, if you just want to just get a Series S and get Game Pass, and you never have to buy a game for your kids again.
Yeah, they'll find something on that.
They'll find something on that thing. It really is. It really is the best value.
And for 300 and I don't know what, $15 a month, you buy a year, you're still in the, you're still well under the price of a PS5.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why Sony's been such a bitch about it. They don't want fucking Square Enix to put Final Fantasy VII on Game Pass. Yeah. Because the thing is, if Sony wasn't paying them to keep it off, Microsoft would pay them to put it on Game Pass.
Yeah. And that would be a pretty solid thing to play on Game Pass. I don't know about the replay value of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I think that's
not
one of
there.
the right.
Personally,
that's one of the best things about a Game Pass game is if it doesn't have replay value, it didn't cost you $60 to sit on your shelf. Just anyway, we've already talked about that a lot, but I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater would be kind of like the gateway drug to bringing you into the Xbox ecosystem.
For Beanox in particular, I'm going to go out and say they should take an IP that's smaller, bring it back, smaller game, smaller budget. I say Blast Core. Or make a brand new Blast Core from the N64 era because it's just a game about destruction, right? You got to destroy all these buildings to make paths for this this nuclear whatever truck to go through an area, right?
Didn't even realize Microsoft owns Blast Core
because it's a rare game, so they do. So my pick for Beanox is have them do a Blast Core game or something like small, a little bit smaller on that end, and sort of break out there. High Moon Studios. Okay. They could go back to Transformers because they did War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron. Really, really, really well received first-person shooter Transformer games. I think the first person. Maybe they were third person. They were good. No, they're third, I think. Third-person shooters. They're very, very good. You could bring back Dark Watch if they own it. I'm not sure if they own it or if Axis owns it. But that if you're not going to have them bring back Transformers, because that's my first go-to with High Moon is bring back Transformers.
Oh, they did that Deadpool game, which was
fun.
They
did Deadpool. Yes, they did Deadpool. Forgot, don't want to forget about that. I would say they should do a campaign solo only, just focused entirely on a solo campaign set in the Overwatch universe. That's what I said they should have been doing years ago. when Overwatch 1 came out because they've got the chops and the pedigree for it.
Okay.
Now I don't really know because like I don't know what is the Overwatch is like so dead to me. I'm kind of like, yeah, just go back to making Transformers games. And they should go back to making Transformers games. But
well, the thing is that you could start doing that with Overwatch where like each again with Game Pass, each character from Overwatch, you just start having them make campaigns. You know, it's like, oh, I love blah 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 from Overwatch, and now there's a McCree game. You know, it's like
he's not called McCree anymore.
What is he called now?
He got his name changed because his name maybe it's still, I think it's I forget what McCree's name is now, but yeah, because McCree was named after Blizzard high up Blizzard guy who turned out to be a sex pest. So
good reason to change the name. I feel like maybe I should have.
Blizzard's a fucking cesspool, and I'm and I don't feel bad saying it anymore.
Well, you could have had a Western game like that.
Right, because they did Darkwatch.
Right. Yeah, I mean, High Moon, now knowing that they did Deadpool and Darkwatch, it feels like you're right. They could do some adventure shooters or, anything kind of in that goofy first person or third person shooter. Or like they'd be pretty solid for that. I mean, I don't know. This technically doesn't count, but maybe this is like a wish or a dream thing. Microsoft might finally get Demonware to use good servers. They'll get Demonware to make
honestly
good server.
I would be fucking terrified if I was Demonware for this deal going through because Microsoft has so much better servers and infrastructure for networking that they're fucking irrelevant at this point.
Maybe they'll keep Demonware.
I honest to God think, and I almost kind of pray that they just get redundanced. Not that I don't want to wish people to lose their job, but like Demonware was like the clear tipping point when like Call of Duty games started to not be as good online.
Yeah. We'll see what happens there. Digital Legends, they're brand new. Don't know anything about them.
Yeah, they were started in late 21. So yeah, who knows? Can't say nothing. They're in Spain, which is good because gives people from fleeing from Mercury Steam's work culture to maybe go somewhere else. Although Activision,
yeah, but maybe Activision under Microsoft won't be quite as bad.
Yeah. Infinity Ward. Now you talked about you want Infinity Ward to be given the chance to go refresh the shooter again. However, Vincent Zampella are no longer at Infinity Ward.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm not saying the people at Infinity Ward couldn't now refresh the genre, but if anything, I would say give them a break, give them a year, or I would say give them a year or two off to go and prototype. Just dream up design document stuff.
Well,
I think you're right. Like let him just take a breather. Obviously Microsoft doesn't seem to care about release dates, which I guess is a good thing, but it's also kind of a bad thing for business lately. But
I think it depends on what we mean or they mean by don't care.
Well, here's the thing. They probably do care, but they probably also are looking at shit like The Witcher, and they're like, they don't want more bad publicity.
Right.
Because they're already hyper delayed on projects. And if they release a project now and it's buggy and it's problematic and it's, got tons of issues, all it does is make it look like, no, not only are they slow, but they're also slow and incompetent. Redfall, lots riding on you, buddy, and I'm not expecting you to make it to that finish line.
Yeah, there's been like a rejuvenation attempt for Redfall since all that, shit got talked about it at that last presentation. There's been like a campaign to rebrand it as actually good though.
Well, I think it comes out next week, and it's on Game Pass. I could technically play it. It's on. There is a 80% chance, greater chance I would touch that game, it being on Game Pass, than if it wasn't. No, just saying.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily go out and buy it, but you might.
Oh, I would never go out and buy it. Let's be real. I would never even think about it. But if I'm doing a Game Pass day, like Redfall, hey, yeah, we want you to come play Redfall with us. We're like, well, okay.
Yeah, I'll take it. But yeah, Infinity Ward. Okay, yeah, they take a year off, but then do they come back and they keep making shooters, or let's off
come back
the
and make
wall
a rhythm game?
I'm just so tired of the violence, man. I want to put something positive out in the world. No, I wonder if Infinity Ward comes to Microsoft and they're all like, "Hey, we've always wanted to do an adventure game." I wonder if Microsoft says yes to that, or do all these guys stay pigeonholed?
They will stay pigeonholed. Like Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer and Raven will 100% stay pigeonholed.
Right. There's no way they ever get out of shooters. They might get to not make a Call of Duty, but it'll still be a shooter, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Infinity Ward's a weird one. I'm kind of with you on maybe just doing a good refresh. But hey, if they wanted to go out and do an adventure game, make their own like Uncharted, I'd be down. Let us see what they do flying solo. Away from Call of Duty.
I sort of, I don't know if they've really ever made third-person stuff outside of the Call of Duty.
Ward.
Their third-person Call of Duty game modes sucks
wacky.
cocks.
Yeah, okay.
Just huge nuts and cocks. It's not great. But that being said, yeah, like if they did like a Uncharted-esque shooter adventure, where maybe it's first person instead of third person, but you get to do the solving puzzles while spelunking and stuff and exploring, could be kind of cool. And they might, we know they can do story very well.
Yeah.
And I think that's something
they should do a Metal Gear game. I'm going to say this. They should do a stealth. They should do a Splinter Cell Metal Gear. They should do a stealth. I hate stealth, but have them do like a covert ops stealth style game with an in-depth storyline.
That'd be cool.
That's what I want. That's what I would want to see come out of it. I guess Perfect Dark kind of fits that mold already, but
I mean, if they were the guys that took over the Perfect Dark series to refresh that shit, I mean, yeah, I guess we don't know. I don't know what the next refresh is going to be. It's supposed to be here soon someday.
Perfect Dark's in the shitter.
It's gone forever.
It's not gone. It's in dev hell.
We'll see.
Raven Software. Interesting enough, Raven Software once upon a time made not the first, but a mid-2000s soft reboot of Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Now, Machine Games is off making Indiana Jones right now. Good for them. I love the enthusiasm for shooting Nazis.
Yeah,
I would love to see Raven come back to Wolfenstein.
Really?
Make it like BioShock. Make it have like weird cultish powers. So it's not just shooting, but you have all these weird fucking Nazi cult experiments. And like kind of dive into the horror. Have like fucking werewolves and shit.
Like an occult horror.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like spooky horror. Like BioShock. Like straight up like original or whatever. Like a BioShock style, but spooky, occultish Wolfenstein game.
Yeah, I could dig that.
That's what I would like to see go back to. Make a spooky BioShock style Wolfenstein.
This is a weird aside, but I actually think it's kind of an interesting topic. Do you think horror is better in first person or third person?
It's funny because Mikami firmly believes first person is better for horror, and he's always wished it could have been that way.
Even though he's made two of the best third person horror games.
Yes.
Okay.
He was so happy to see RE7. He was so proud of RE7. He's like, it was what I always wish we could have done.
Hell yeah. Hard to argue with Mikami, but
I mean, who am I to tell him no?
I sort of love third person when it's done well. When third person's done well,
all it needs is the controls to not suck ass.
Yeah, and you
That's
really
it.
got to nail the camera, I think, in third person.
Which is it's always hard to nail the camera anyways. But if you can if you can nail the controls and at least and have just even a decent camera, I love third person horror. Love it. I think third person horror works better depending on what you're doing in the game. If the game is going to have any sort of climbing or mobility, platforming or whatever, it better be third person. I don't want to do any of that shit in first person.
Yeah, because it's always gross in first person.
Yeah, to do like climbing and like mirrors edging shit. But like, if you're gonna have chase sequences, if you're gonna have climbing of any sort, I want a third person. First person can work in a more shootery style.
I think another thing that makes the like third person works really well is if you have any kind of body horror.
Yeah,
any kind of like one. I don't know if there are any games that do this. There might be, but like real time showing the damage, like the bodily damage to your character when you're injured. Like your character gets hit really bad by a chainsaw character, say an RE4, and so he has like a terrible gash that's like a weeping wound until you heal.
You know, it's a great game for body horror, even though it is first person. Scorn.
Is it
on Game Pass? Especially at the end when you basically get fucking you mutilate yourself. Like I mean I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, Scorn is one of the ultimate body horror games.
Yeah, I haven't played it because some people said it wasn't worth the money.
It's on Game Pass.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Everything's worth the money on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass. It's perfect for Game Pass. It's a short-ish, just horrific. It's H.R. Giger's, fucking wet
I do
dream.
love that. Yeah.
It's all it is. It's just a fucked up, weird, creepy as shit H.R. Giger fever dream nightmare.
So what we want is we want a Castle Wolfenstein game by Raven. I'm pushing for like a third person with some body horror, but we both
I wouldn't be opposed to it. Fuck it, yeah. I mean, I was saying like first person, but I say first person because Raven. That's what Raven does. That's what Raven's always kind of done.
Yeah,
but like because I could just see a BioShocky style first person shooter, scary Wolfenstein game by Raven. Be great. That's what I would do because Microsoft owns Wolfenstein. They bought Bethesda, so now they have it. So, bada bing, bada boom. Put Raven on that shit while Machine Games does Indiana Jones.
I could dig it.
Sledgehammer is
all they've ever done is Call of Duty,
and not well.
Well, wasn't Sledgehammer was sort of like praised at first because they co-developed 3 with Infinity Ward.
Something like that. Yes, it was 3. It was co-developed. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so they co-developed 3, and then they did Advanced Warfare, which some people like to say that Advanced Warfare has the best movement to this day, and people just shit on it because nobody played it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm one of the people that didn't really play it.
Yeah. They did World War II.
Right.
And then they fucked up royally on their game. So they had Treyarch had to fill in a whole extra year for them, and they got pushed back, and then they released Vanguard, which Vanguard was mostly a nothing burger of a Call of Duty.
And now they're working on whatever the next one that's coming out.
Yeah, Sledgehammer is kind of one of those things where I'm like, fold
them into another team.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a little harsh on them, but I'm like, yeah, Sledgehammer. I'm like, maybe I don't know. Fold them in another team. Have them focus on. I don't know, man. I don't even know what Sledgehammer is necessarily good at.
Oof.
Here's what I would have them do: get a license. Not the Bond license because that's taken up by say IO Interactive right now. But like take a movie franchise like Mission Impossible or something like that. Have them kind of scale back a little bit, just like refine your mechanics, refine your game, do a smaller title, maybe something with like an IP. Really, really like we're just focus on refining the shit out of a smaller scale project before trying to do some major fucking project like Call of Duty again.
They go to Tom Cruise and they go, we want to make a Tom Cruise video game. And he's like,
Tom
what
Cruise
is it?
says no.
But he's like, well, what would this Tom Cruise video game be? And be like, we just go through your entire career of movies, and it's just the person playing the game trying to nail the stunts of the movie.
Stuntman.
Yeah. But it's Tom Cruise.
I'll make a stuntman game. I don't know. Maybe Sledgehammer should step away from first person. Maybe Activision should have them do a driving game. Have them do like a racer of some sorts. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Solid State Studios is next, also in Santa Monica, California. All of these are in California.
This was founded 2 years ago. They haven't done anything, so
haven't heard anything about it yet.
Yeah, who knows? They're probably going to get put on Perfect Bark.
Perfect Bark.
Perfect Bark. They're going to be put on Perfect Dark to help out.
It's Nintendogs, but spies.
Woof. Toys for Bob. Banjo-Kazooie. Toys for Bob should do Banjo-Kazooie. They did Crash Bandicoot 4. I think they proved their chops. I'm like, Toys for Bob should do Banjo-Kazooie. Although the rumor is that Banjo-Kazooie is actually being made by someone somewhere. But I would after seeing how well Toys for Bob adapted Crash Bandicoot for Part 4, I'm like, give them Banjo. Let them make Banjo their fucking Ratchet and Clank.
They did Spyro, and they're doing Crash Team Rumble coming out.
Yeah. So I'm like, right? Toys for Bob, I would give Banjo-Kazooie to them 100%.
Yeah, I could see that. I'd really like to see Microsoft do more with rare IP in general.
Yeah.
So I'm all for giving Toys for Bob. Especially if we know they can do that type of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty safe one to go with.
Yeah. I'm all in. Toys for Bob, you should do Banjo. And the last one, although there actually is more than one more beyond Treyarch, here's a crazy thing. Sony proved that with enough time and money put behind a first-party studio, you can make a kick-ass superhero game. Warner Brothers Games kind of sucks dick lately. And I think there's a pretty damn good reason Suicide Squad got delayed 10 months. I'm going to be there. What Microsoft should do, since Treyarch has so much history with Spider-Man already, good old Spider-Man, they should go to Warner Brothers, talk to Warner Brothers and say, get a big IP from Warner Brothers and make a big superhero game. Maybe do what Steve's always wanted and make a big Superman game, although I'm not really sure. Again, I argue there's problems with that. But what if they did a big Flash game? Maybe let Treyarch do a big Green Lantern game.
Let Treyarch make an Invincible game. Who did they go to for that?
There you go. Or The Boys, right?
Or The Boys, that'd be good too.
But let's say go make a deal with a big IP that's primed for a big game. Green Lanterns to me is a pretty good one because they're space cops. You could go do space cop shit.
Get the Blasto game you've always wanted.
Yeah, shut up.
Maybe Ryan Reynolds would voice him.
Oh, or have him voice a Lantern in there. Make it a Jon Stewart game, and then not Kyle Rayner. Hal Jordan? Have Hal Jordan show up as a cameo as Ryan Reynolds or something like that, and then literally have his Deadpool from High Moon's Deadpool kill him or something. Whatever.
No, I could see that. I could see a really good Wonder Woman game.
That's being made by Monolith, not Monolith Soft. Monolith, the Shadow of Mordor people, War for Mordor, Shadow Mordor. They're making a Wonder Woman game.
Okay.
You probably forgot because it was announced in a very quick CG teaser at one of Jeff Keighley's Hollywood Suck Up shows.
Now that you're saying it, I remember.
Disappeared completely.
Yeah, it was ages ago.
Fell off the fucking map. So they're doing it already. Because I actually would have, easily gone with Wonder Woman, but I'm like, someone else is already doing it.
I mean, any of the, I think there's also opportunity. You don't have a Batman game that's gonna, Rocksteady already kind of made the Batman game. But we could do a Batman Beyond game. I'm just saying, Batman Beyond.
Have Treyarch do Arkham Beyond. Well, I mean,
Arkham Beyond.
That's kind of, and I get it. WB Games is here. Why would WB Games, license out? Why would they work with, Microsoft first party? Why would they do that? I'm like, well, why does Marvel work with Sony exclusively for Spider-Man? And people will be like, well, that's because Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man. No, they don't. They own the filmatic rights.
Yeah,
They don't own Marvel Entertainment. Like Spider-Man can show up anywhere else. Spider-Man did show up in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I'm pretty sure he's in Midnight Suns. Like these companies can make these deals. Like if Marvel wanted to, Marvel could make a deal with Microsoft, specifically just Microsoft, just like Sony has a deal with Spider-Man.
You know what it is? Here's the IP that they could get, and I'm sort of burned out on Harley Quinn stuff already, but they could do like a Lollipop Chainsaw style Harley Quinn game.
It's funny you mention that because you're probably aware of the sequence in The Suicide Squad by James Gunn.
Yeah.
That was pulled from Lollipop Chainsaw.
I had heard.
Because James Gunn wrote Lollipop Chainsaw.
Yeah. I'm just saying they could probably make that deal.
You
James
could
Gunn's
literally go and get James Gunn or get the Harley Quinn show writers to make like a Harley Quinn. What if Treyarch did some crazy? It's like cell shaded, like the cartoon, but it's like a big fucking R-rated, Arkham style game, but it's really bloody and fucked up and totally awful. Like I'd be all for it.
Give me a GTA style game where you play as the Joker. Coming up as the Joker.
Oh, like Red Hood style, like like as Red Hood or after he's Joker.
Yeah, like when he's Joker, he's just coming up, taking over Gotham type thing, causing chaos, joyriding with the cops chasing you.
Sounds a little bit like sounds like a little Destroy All Humans-y in a way.
A little bit, yeah. You could be as trolly as you want about it.
Yeah, but for anyways, I'm saying Treyarch would be a good person to grab like a big cape, big superhero license.
Yeah.
Treyarch would be a good studio, I think, for Microsoft to go, we want our Spider-Man. The way Sony has Spider-Man, we want that on our own. I think Treyarch is the company that could do it.
I think Treyarch is the company, to be honest, that Microsoft could go, hey, we want our own Battlefield. I think Treyarch could do it. One, because Battlefield it's a good game, and 2042 has come a long way since the trash heap that it released as. But one thing, I went back and played it recently, and something that Treyarch can absolutely kick ass at is the gunplay in Battlefield sucks. It feels weightless and kind of every gun's sort of the same. I don't know. It's
right.
It doesn't feel like it has any impact, and Treyarch can do that very well. So if Microsoft was like, hey, we want a Battlefield-esque game. Give us our Battlefield killer. I was thinking about that earlier when I was like, oh, let Infinity Ward redefine something. Well, this could be the same idea, but Treyarch just goes in and makes their SOCOM killer.
Yeah.
Before they ever even try to have a SOCOM.
You know what? I think you're on something there too. And the last one, which isn't listed for whatever reason, Vicarious Visions. I guess because
do they have Vicarious Visions?
It's listed under former because it got renamed to Blizzard Albany a year ago from this recording.
Interesting.
Get them out of Blizzard jail. They should not be the ones who are there to fix all the issues you had with Diablo because you wanted to fuck over all your fans at BlizzCon. Vicarious Visions should get the fuck out of Blizzard jail. And they should absolutely do exactly what you said earlier and make a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game that's a big free-to-play game with a massive fucking hub and all kinds of crossover potential. Because they did Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remastered remake. And they were going to do 3 and 4 before they got put in Blizzard jail.
Well, I mean, that we can look at these former studios. I wonder if they're getting all that IP too, because Vicarious Visions, but they could also bring back Neversoft guys to do a Guitar Hero. It's been long enough. People might want some more Guitar Hero in their life. Rhythm games are having sort of a comeback.
Rhythm games are going to again. Here's another just thought. Rhythm games are kind of the perfect thing for fucking Game Pass.
there's a lot of genres that are the perfect thing for Game Pass. You know what? We're now just a Game Pass enthusiast podcast. every week from now on, we're just going to pick a game on Game Pass and talk about why it's
I
so
get
good
it. Game Pass is a very dangerous proposition from a business standpoint, but I'm not a businessman. I'm a consumer technically, so I look at something like Game Pass and like Guitar Hero would be a fucking fantastic thing for Game Pass because, again, you could just upload it, on there, and then you could even charge extra money for like, I want this band's album or whatever. Put it, you buy it that way. Like, I could get real pricey real quick. It could get real scummy real quick, but like, Game Pass is a fucking great outlet for a rhythm game. Just saying. Luxo Flux being gone. I know that I know they tried to restart as Isopod Labs and didn't go anywhere. But yes, Microsoft will be getting the Vigilante 8 franchise. And if Sony ever brings back Twisted Metal, Microsoft will now literally own a direct competitor and a better game than Twisted Metal. Yes, I fucking said it. Vigilante 8 was the best car combat game. I know people argue Black is better than that, but I don't know. It runs better because, of course, it does on PS2 versus PS1. But Vigilante 8, man, Vigilante 8 and even Second Offense, those are some of the best car combat games. I'm just saying they have it within them to do that. So, yeah, they could very much do that. They could also, I don't know, like. They closed Bizarre Creations, so that was like a racing studio that could have been a thing. They are going to get, was it Project Gotham Racing? I think they always owned Project Gotham. I think it was always first party, wasn't it? Or was it not?
I honestly don't remember a lot of the different racing games.
Oh yeah, Project Gotham Racing was Microsoft's thing. Well, they already have Forza, so I guess they don't really need them anymore.
Because the thing is that racing games sort of all melded into like two franchises really in the last, 10 years? There's not... You got Forza and you've got, I guess Need for Speed's still around too. There was a new Need for Speed, a year ago?
Yeah, or last year. They're getting Geometry Wars.
Yeah. Actually, look, talk shit about Geometry Wars, but it's fun.
No, I'm not talking shit about Geometry Wars. I'm saying they're getting Geometry Wars. You know what Geometry Wars would do great on?
Game Pass?
Game Pass.
Or be a free game that comes with every Xbox as just like here's a game. Like, I don't know why they stopped doing shit like that. Like having a puzzle game or a Geometry Wars game or something like that that's just on your Xbox to fuck around with when you're
Geometry Wars could literally be their Tetris Effect. That just left Game Pass, but like... like Geometry Wars could be their own like first party version of something like Tetris Connected. Am I saying that right? Tetris Effect, sorry. Tetris Effect.
Yeah.
You put some like fucking banger music in there and have some multiplayer modes, whatever. Boom.
That's another thing again where it's like you can build that ecosystem, right? It's like, oh, unlock this track in Geometry Wars. That kind of stuff. Because all of Geometry Wars is like randomly generated maps, right? Like it's just the enemies are randomly generated.
It's just Robotron.
Yeah.
I think it's just like whatever rate the enemies come out. I'm not sure if it's really RNG or anything. So
right. And like I think it also, if I remember the last one, I don't want to say it's the original, but the last one, I think like the music, like some of the enemies would come out in time with the music. So the faster the song, the faster the enemies moved around and that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah.
So unlock this song in Geometry Wars. I don't know. They really need to build a reason. I don't know. I want to be an Xbox fan again. Like there's not... Right now, you have your Sony nerds that are like, they have lots of reasons to claim Sony is superior. You need to give that kind of ecosystem, that kind of like, I don't know, identity to your Xbox nerds. Because 360 did that. Maybe not in the same way that I'm saying it needs to right now, but it needs to do it again.
I'm definitely one of those people who are kind of like, I'm so old and I'm so fucking beyond console war bullshit. Even if it was in a state of, you know, where it's like you can, because the thing is like
People love a tribe, though, man.
people have tried, and people like, and if you're like a kid and you only get one console, you get real fucking attached to that because you don't want to think you go, oh my god, like. Which again, I actually really like the idea of having the Xbox Series S here because it's just so small and cheap that it's just kind of like, bro, like, I'm sorry, if you can easily afford a $500 PS5 and are more than willing to guzzle down $70 games every other month by Sony, you could probably find a way to save up for a little bit to get a $300 Series S and a Game Pass. And you know what? You know what? And I'm not saying that to boost Microsoft or because I like Microsoft, whatever. Fuck all these corporations in the end. Fuck them all. But I'm just saying, like, you having more options, expanding your horizons in a way that something like Game Pass allows you to do. It's just a net good.
Yeah,
because like you discover all kinds of things you would never have played before, and you find new favorites, you find new things to be, you know, a fan of. And that's where it's like, I think you're a happier gamer if you just try everything, or like, and something like Game Pass is a great way to try everything, not everything, but like if you're just open to everything,
right,
you're going to enjoy so many more video games by not being stuck in a console war fan, like, you know, mindset.
And you might, you know, try something like Vigilante 8 and find out that it is superior to Twisted Metal.
Because it's not about like, oh, fuck Sony and all Sony's games. I'm just saying, like, no, Twisted Metal was great. I liked it more than, or I liked Vigilante 8 more than Twisted Metal. Which is funny enough, because I only really found that out because of fucking Blockbuster, renting it on the N64.
Hey, they're going to have a comeback, man. Netflix is fucking up. Blockbuster's going to come back bigly.
With biding its time.
It's been waiting, and you know what? It downsized to one store in the middle of nowhere, and now it's like we've saved like a lot. We can open 2-3 other stores in the same middle of nowhere town, but still, we'll expand again.
Yeah, that, you know what? That would not be on my bingo card for any year. Of that
I do actually think there is an opportunity for video stores to make a comeback, though. We could do an episode on that, talking about that. Get into just some business ideas.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All I'm saying is, like, you'll enjoy gaming way more than you already do if you stop fucking fanboying for any corporation. And the thing is like, it's and the only reason I'm happy about Microsoft buying Activision is because of how much of a fucking shithole Activision is and has been proven to be and run by such shitty people, that it's like, good, clean this fucking house and then let their studio start making more than just Call of Duty and Diablo Overwatch. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm most excited about, is that there's a chance for a bunch of IP that we haven't seen in a long time to start coming back.
Yeah.
Or 2, new IP. I want give me new ideas.
Yeah,
I'm so tired that we're on like Call of Duty 26.
Right, and to final thought there is like, you know what? We are being hopeful. I am well aware of how fucking bad Microsoft's project management is right now.
Yeah.
I'm well aware that there should have been way more first party releases by now than there have been. I am well aware. Phil's aware of that too, but like, I'm well aware of how fucking awful it's been.
Every time there's a setback, do you think Phil's just like standing in his kitchen in a robe, drinking a glass of milk and sighing deeply into the dark?
Are we making a Clockwork Orange reference?
No, never. Me? I wouldn't.
Well, how did I get here? That's a long story.
It's a long story.
But Fur Day.
as one of my favorite games. You know, on that note, we should end on something. I was thinking about this. I'm more interested in somebody's favorite game being a game like Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is, you could argue, not built well. Yeah, you could argue. Somebody comes up to you, they're like, "Oh, Blasto's my favorite game." There's something interesting to find out from that person.
There's a story. There's a story there.
Somebody's like, "Oh yeah, Dark Souls is my favorite game of all time." You're like, "Well, Yeah, it's a fucking half the planet's favorite game of all
Big
time.
game of all time, exactly.
I'm guilty of it too. Resident Evil 4 being one of my favorite games of all time, right up there with
Right.
Conker's Bad Fur Day. But like, if I go RE4 is the greatest game of all time, you just like, there's no conversation. You're just like, yeah, all right, that's fine. It's like being like, oh, chocolate's better than vanilla. You're, all right, yeah, probably.
It's like, where's the discussion? There is no discussion there.
There isn't. We're just we're saying facts now. Sky's blue. Whatever. But I that's another thing to end it on, bringing it back to Game Pass. Game Pass lets you find those games. Like if somebody was like, Hi-Fi Rush is my favorite game of this year. Yeah,
I've heard that a lot.
I have heard. I've seen that a lot. You know, it's like that's what Game Pass gives you. Like that's what services like Game Pass allow to happen. You could discover. That's why I guess we're big fans of it. But
Yeah.
as always, we've got some patrons to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at the level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week was MD Rennie. If we're saying your name wrong, let us know. I'll bring it up next episode. But our producers for this episode are Mutton Chops Johnson, the Pink Hammer, the Schmidt One, Scrunami, Karoy35, Hypervibrating 9, Ziggy Z, and Online Persona. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.